Hello fellow Murdlers! Today is Wednesday, March 27th, 2024, and it's a great day to solve a murder. Today we have the murder at the Upscale Chapel. We have three 3x3 grids with suspects, locations, and weapons. We do have statements today, so as always we will know that one of these must be false, and whomever is lying is our murderer. The other two must be true, so we'll be looking for the solution that works for one being false and the other two being true. Let's go ahead and meet our suspects today. We've got Dr. Crimson, President Amaranth, and Chef Aubergine. Our weapons today are a heavy code book, a wine bottle, and yarn. And the locations today are the choir loft, the vestibule, and the bell tower. Let's go ahead and dive into a very short list of clues and evidence today. We see analysts discover traces of a weapon made of glass on the clothing of Chef Aubergine. So flipping back to our weapons real quickly, I'm going to guess this is the wine bottle, and sure enough, made of glass. But let's just triple check that there's no surprises here. Okay, great. So we can say that Chef Aubergine definitely had the wine bottle, and we can mark that in accordingly and cross this off. Finally, for our clues and evidence, yarn was certainly not in the vestibule. So let's go ahead and mark that there. Oh wait, no, that's the wrong box. What was I thinking? This one is yarn. Here we go. Mark that as not being in the vestibule. Okay, we'll go ahead and cross that out. Alright, so that's it for our clues and evidence, a very short list today. So now we're going to go through our statements. The first thing I'd like to do is check each of them against what we already know to see if there is anything that must be true or must be false. Looking at this, we only have information about the wine bottle and where the yarn was not. And these are all about like the bell tower, the code book, and the choir loft. So we don't really have anything that aligns to these statements just yet. So in these cases, the next thing I like to do is go down the line and assume each person is the liar and try to compel the other two statements to be true. And that usually helps figure out the murderer pretty quickly. So let's go ahead and do that today. We're going to start with Dr. Crimson. So Dr. Crimson's statement is that a heavy code book was in the bell tower. So we're going to use the opposite of that. We're going to say a heavy code book was not in the bell tower. So we'll go to heavy code book and we'll say it was not in the bell tower. And so then we need these two other statements to work out and be true. And before I do that, actually, I'm going to reset this. I've been playing around with trying to get the grid save feature to work. So I'm going to hopefully see if this will work. Thank you again to the person who gave the hot tip there. So let's say heavy code book, not in the bell tower. And let's see. Let's go ahead now and see if we've got the statements we need. So President Amaranth brought a heavy code book, is what they're saying, and that must be true. So that gives us the solve for the suspects and weapons grid there. And it also tells us that President Amaranth could not have been in the bell tower because we know that the code book could not have been in the bell tower, and that is his weapon. So that seems to work. And then this one, Dr. Crimson was in the choir loft. So Dr. Crimson, putting Dr. Crimson in the choir loft, and that will also put the yarn in the choir loft, which will give us our solve for our locations and weapons grid as well. And so far, this is looking very possible. Let's see, just double checking. Yeah, okay, I think we maybe had another day where the first statement was the murderer. So I'm gonna go ahead and mark that in, Dr. Crimson with a ball of yarn in the choir loft. Okay, I'll go ahead and flip these over, but before I go ahead and make my accusation, I'm going to just check this out and try the others and just make sure that we're not missing something. So hopefully this will work. Yay! Oh, so rewarding. I love that. Okay, I'm going to be using that a lot from now on. Okay, so we've got this set up still. So let's assume that we were going to say this wasn't the lie. So we would say this is true. So we're going to put the heavy code book in the bell tower. So before we mark that with an X, now we're marking with the check. And that's going to solve out our locations and weapons grid here. Okay, so then let's say this is the lie, and that would be that that President Amaranth did not bring a heavy code book. So that would mean that Dr. Crimson did, and that President Amaranth brought the yarn. So that would mean that Dr. Crimson was in the bell tower, which we know cannot be true because we have Chef Aubergine's statement, which we would need to be true, that Dr. Crimson was in the choir loft. So President Amaranth's statement cannot be the lie. So we can go ahead and reset here. And let's try one more time, even though I'm pretty sure we've got it with the first one. Dr. Crimson was in the choir loft, so we're going to say that's false. So Dr. Crimson not in the choir loft, and then these two must be true. So heavy code book in the bell tower. Okay, and President Amaranth bringing the heavy code book. And that, let's see. Oh, okay. Here's the issue there. We can't get Dr. Crimson into the right place with this solve because it would mean that they would have to be in the vestibule, and we know that they were in the choir loft from the yarn association here. So that doesn't work either. So it is our first one. So I'm just going to take a moment and fill out the grid again as we had it for Dr. Crimson being the liar. Then we'll go ahead, make our accusation, and see if we were right. Alright, so there's our grid all filled out, and we've already put in our accusation here. So let's go ahead, flip over the cards, and see if we were right. Alright, we were right. Thanks so much for playing along with me today. I hope this was a helpful walkthrough, and we'll see you tomorrow.